Quarterback Monday just isn't going to cut it. We're going to do a Quarterback Tuesday, and we're going to bring it today. Buckle up. Good morning to you. Good Tuesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, and this is Daily Shot of Steelers. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into hockey and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Penguins and Pirates that I hope you'll take the time to check out as well. Justin Fields has his critics, and they're well within their rights to be precisely that. I take no issue with it. Here's the problem that I do have, however, in this general context. For everyone who suggests that Fields should not be the Steelers' QB1 in the 2025 season, there might be 1 out of 20 who will suggest who actually should be that player. See, now I got you scrambling already. Because that's actually kind of the point here. We're not living in some ideal world here where Omar Khan can just say, well, I'll just have a Joe Burrow then. You have to play the hand you're dealt. Or to some extent in the Steelers' case, the hand that they've kind of created for themselves. And you have to stay within the system and the salary cap and everything else. So the point here isn't whether or not Fields can be treated like quarterback royalty and being anointed QB1 and he's instantly competitive and puts the Steelers on a line with Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow and Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. That's not a thing. That's a silly side argument that belongs, somewhere in a category with, who's the greatest player of all time or the 5 greatest players. Those are little sports debates. That's not building an NFL roster, a real one, in real time using real circumstances. I did a casual Google survey, if you want to call it that, before recording this. Just poked around using certain search terms to see what would show up by just asking who are the top available quarterbacks in this NFL free agency class. Almost every one of them listed Fields. One listed Sam Darnold. Now you can say, oh, big deal. I mean, have you looked at the rest of the class? Yeah, I have. And guess what? That's part of what makes Fields so compelling. Because in a lot of these surveys, number 2 or 3 was Russell Wilson. Then by the time you get to, a Tyler Huntley or a Jameis Winston, you were done. You don't even want to see the rest of the list. You hit the X button and close the window out. Now, can you find a quarterback through other means? Sure, in theory. The Rams can pretend they're making Matthew Stafford available for about 5 minutes, or just about as long as it took for all of them to behave like adults and sit at a table and get the thing done. There'll be other names that come up too, but not many. And out of the ones you'd want, probably not any. How about the draft? There's the classic Pittsburgh lament. The only way that the Steelers could ever get a quarterback who's worth something is by totally sucking and working their way into the top 3 or top 5 of the draft and, getting Burrow, because Burrow is everything. Burrow is the only way. For the old timers, that's how they got Terry Bradshaw. For the not nearly as old timers, that's how they got Ben Roethlisberger. Except that it really isn't. Ben was taken 11th, one position behind where they drafted Devin Bush. But I'm told these things are impossible. You could never get the team up there unless they lose 14 or 15 games. So can you get a quarterback in the draft? This draft? Sure you can. Can you get a good one? Might want to look at that class. It's not quite the Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis class, but it's not far from it. So what do you want to do? Hope? Get a second rounder or a third rounder, kind of the way Mason Rudolph was acquired, and say, well, we hung a first round grade on him because he was throwing bombs in Oklahoma, and see how that works out? I mean, you can do that. But are you addressing the quarterback position for 2025 even partially? No, because that player that you'd be getting in all likelihood would be something of a project, or they wouldn't be worth the pick at all. What's left? What am I missing? Can they go find, a Kurt Warner playing arena ball somewhere? This is what's in front of them. This is reality. If you want to just be one of those people who complains about Fields but doesn't recommend some sort of alternative, again, you're entitled to do that, but I am equally entitled to totally tune it out. When we come back, J1Q.
This segment of Daily Shot is brought to you by our good friends at Mike's Beer Bar. They're located on Federal Street, directly across from PNC Park. Mike has more than 500 beers on tap, including from more than 50 local breweries. Stop in and say hello. Tell Mike we sent you. Mike's Beer Bar.
Today's J1Q comes from Randy Waddell up in Boston. Says, hi, Dejan. As someone who enjoys the natural rhythms and ups and downs and unexpected surprises that constitute an NFL season, I find a lot of the ongoing gnashing of teeth regarding our Steelers to be intolerable and overblown. I know expectations are subjective. I, for one, would never expect to contend for a championship with league average quarterback play. The Steelers are going to achieve their next wave of glory when their talent pool surpasses the handful of teams who currently have the better Jimmies and Joes. Now, since I'm someone who lives well outside of Pittsburgh, can you provide me some solace that social media is the primary driver of the vitriol here, and that perhaps there are other fans like me who enjoy the journey even if it doesn't lead to the hoped-for outcome? Randy, I've got very few good things to say about social media, in particular one platform that's just totally gone down the tubes, that, of course, being Twitter. They've even eliminated the capacity to block people, at least block them meaningfully, which means anybody can attack anybody at any time. It's just pure poison. And not to sound like I'm turning this into a sales pitch for you, but that's one of the reasons that we're proud of what we have at DK Pittsburgh Sports, the forum that we offer to our commenting community, the global commenting community, because it's constantly moderated. No politics, no swearing, no attacking each other. You just talk football, right? But I'm also not naive enough to think that we're competing with the big social media platforms. So yeah, some of it does come from there. People can say whatever they want. They can do it without repercussion. They can do it without remorse, really, if you do it often enough. It's like if you saw the Showtime serial Dexter, once he killed his first person, he just kept right on killing. He was okay with it. That's a lot of what Twitter's become. Now, I say that while also feeling very comfortable saying back to you that people are mad. And people aren't just mad about the Steelers on social media. People are mad about the Steelers on social, on the sidewalks here downtown, in front of our headquarters and studio, in the Starbucks across the street, in correspondence that I get from really well-versed and seemingly smooth, composed people like yourself. And they've earned that. They've earned people being mad at them. Remember the question, or one of the questions that I had for Art Rooney at his session in January? I asked him if he, being someone who does not live in some sort of isolated bubble, and I know that for a fact, if he was aware of how mad the fan base is. His response was, my inbox is full. He said it with a little bit of a smile, but I'm sure that it hasn't been pleasant. I'm sure it hasn't been pleasant for any of them. So while I can say to you, I think social media, in particular Twitter, is just the worst thing, in this specific instance, I'm not going to attach that to people being mad at the Steelers. Not with this one. This one isn't about narratives. This is about reality. This is about not winning a playoff game in forever. This is about one of the ugliest collapses in season in franchise history. And if we're calling it like it is, this is about a head coach who has, from what I sense, more than worn out his welcome, because even the people who like him, respect him, will acknowledge that none of this stuff is changing. It's just the same story again and again and again. And he, of course, is more of an author to that story than anyone. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Steelers. And hey, the Double Shot Show is formally going live today and from this point forward, doing that at 4 p.m. Eastern Time every day. Via video, it's available on all platforms everywhere. And then as soon as it's complete, we'll distribute it as a podcast as well. So check it out, Double Shot at 4 p.m. Eastern.